Hello and welcome to Team Franco Bodybuilding Podcast. Hoping you guys are doing wonderful out there, getting it done both in and out of the gym. All right, so before I lock down the topic, again, just want to thank everyone for listening. The feedback, especially the comments, all great stuff, and just makes me happy that I am connecting with some of you guys out there and hoping for it to continue only because I enjoy doing what I am doing, where sometimes reaching people, and even if you guys are not clients, to me is what it's all about. Giving out information, at least anecdotally experience. Well, it's basically the same thing. It's just doing what I'm doing and connecting means a lot to me. So again, thank you guys. All right, so on to the topic and just trying to bring you guys some truth, and which is funny because as you see in the title, again, my most certain do's and don'ts for fitness and physique athletes. Well, as I was writing this up and thinking, nothing is ever really absolute, and it reminds me of the one Star Wars movie. I guess it's the darkest one that was out there back in the day, the Revenge of the Sith, where Obi-Wan Kenobi was basically telling young Anakin that there are no absolutes. And if you do think in absolutes, that's a sign of the dark side. Well, I'm not saying I'm on the dark side, but I'm pretty confident and would say these are absolutes, especially in the fitness industry and physique competitors, because it's been shown for many, many years and not just for a short period of time. And I think that's one of the issues, because when something comes out, supplement, exercise, coaching, philosophies, well, a lot of times they're just trying to throw shit at the wall and hoping something sticks. And just bottom line is that someone's trying to make money. And what I'm going to go over, my little list of do's and don'ts, it's backed up by science. It's backed up by real research. So there's a difference. And again, personal experience, which to me sometimes is just as important, because it's a greater sampling of just a couple of years or a supplement coming back or a way of training or anything like that in that nature. I think that is the key. Now, once I cover these things, some of you guys are like, oh, I know all this already. That's true. But this is just from a coach's point of view and something that I want to share and mix it up a little bit more lighthearted. So again, these are the things that I've seen work over and over again, whether if it's coaching general fitness clients, competitive physique athletes, or just people just trying to better themselves. There's a lot of opinion guys in the fitness industry, but these are foundational principles that consistently work. And the first do, and it's simple, always try to get your weight training in. The workouts don't have to be perfect. You don't always have to hit crazy PRs or, be social media worthy. What matters the most is accumulating the workouts over time. Being able to zoom out and look at the past month and be like, you know what? I worked out 20 times. Even though I had a few days off, but that's still a great accumulation. And weight training has an enormous benefit value when you do zoom out and see how often that you train. We all know it builds lean muscle. It improves your metabolism, bone density, strengthens joints and connective tissue. So there are health benefits going on, even though you may not be hitting PRs at the same time. And that is something to remember. In addition, you're building a positive repetition, okay? And to me, that again is building up that habit, understanding if you miss a day here or there, but then get back in, you're doing what needs to be done. Where I really reiterate that some days are going to feel amazing, some days aren't. It's just about showing up, getting work done, and understanding that, you know what, maybe I didn't have that progressive overload or anything that I should be aiming for. But the bottom line, workouts accumulate over weeks, months, and years, and that is what builds your physique. Not just crushing it for 3 months and then having a month off in doing that vicious cycle. Because when it comes to competition prep and physique athletes, it's not what you do in a short amount of time, it's what you do over years. And those years add up. And that's where patience, dedication comes into play, but also not sweating the small stuff. So that is a do. All right, just get your workouts in. Now, it brings me to my next point, which is now a don't. Don't rely on cardio to outperform a bad diet. You always hear that phrase, you can't out-exercise a bad diet. Well, that's the truth. That's a trap a lot of people fall into. They think if they do enough cardio, they can offset poor eating habits. And even during prep, where if they have just 20 more grams of carbs, well, guess what? They got to do another half hour of cardio to burn it off. Well, that's a terrible mindset. That's a terrible loop to be in. You're building bad habits, bad mind. It's just not a healthy outlook. So what happens, they'll overeat, then they try to burn it off. They do extra cardio because they feel guilty. They start treating cardio like punishment. And then that could lead to really unhealthy relationships with both food and exercise. The reality is that nutrition drives body composition. We know that. And cardio simply is a tool to support the process. It's not something that you constantly want to do to fix mistakes. I jokingly will tell clients, and I'm like, listen, think of it this way. Cardio allows you to eat more. So think about that. If you take away cardio, you're going to be eating less. So I'm not saying to do lots of more cardio so you can eat more. There's a delicate balance because you want to put more emphasis on weight training, time, and recovery. But the truth of the matter is, you could probably get in great shape and compete without doing any cardio because it's all diet. Although you don't want to drop the calories too low, only because you don't want to lose too much muscle tissue, so you use a little bit of cardio to offset, and that's where good coaching comes into play. Where lazy coaching will just say, you know what, do an hour of cardio, crush it on the calories, fuck it, let's see what you can do. And then that's, unhealthy, where it gives you a bad perspective of what a real good contest prep can bring and want you to continue to do it again. So cardio is a tool, so don't rely on it to get you to your prep, to your physique, or just to lose body fat. It's both. Focus on weight training. Now, when it comes to supplements, again, this is something that has been going, ever since the supplement industry started many, many years ago. There's a couple of do's where there's only a couple that I constantly recommend. The first one is creatine monohydrate. It is one of the most researched supplements in existence, has been shown to help with obviously strength, power output, training performance, hydration, muscle fullness. But what's really interesting is that newer research is also showing cognitive and neurological benefits. It can help support brain energy, metabolism, clarity, and other benefits. It's very exciting. For something that is safe and expensive and backed by decades of research, creatine is one of the most studied supplements out there and would be a very smart addition for most athletes, where I suggest it to everyone. Now, people are like, well, I'm afraid of the water gain. Well, no, that's, water gain may happen, but it's water gain in your muscle. Now, I'm sure there's some outliers out there that can get bloated or have got gastric issues with it. Yeah, I'm sorry if you're one of them. But when you start using creatine monohydrate, you got to stick with it. Let the muscle saturate. And only because that could take, a week to two, depending on the person. But usually after a couple weeks of using it, your muscles will be saturated, the body weight, fluctuations will even out, and you don't have to worry about it anymore. As far as how often to take it, again, this is a question I get. I just use it when I weight train. Now, I'm weight training 5-6 days a week, so it's saturated. It'll stay saturated. If you miss a couple of days, it's not going to make a difference. Now, if you're off of it for a week or two, yeah, you're going to lose the effects. But the point that I'm getting at, if there's one supplement, one tier, it's creatine monohydrate that everyone should take, and not take the fancy versions. They're always, when I started using this in the mid to late 90s when it first came out, it was just one version, the monohydrate powdered version. Now, then obviously they put in capsules, and then they try to reinvent the wheel, and there's about 3 or 4 other versions, more expensive. It's bullshit. Go back to the original version. Now, another useful tool, a certain do when it comes to the supplement world, is whey protein. It's a food. I don't even think of it as a supplement anymore because it supplements your protein intake, but it's a real food, and the biological value of protein is pretty darn high, comparable to eggs, chicken, all good quality protein sources. So it gets misunderstood because people think, oh, it's a supplement, I don't trust supplements. Yeah, you don't want to trust most supplements, but in reality, it's a food source. It comes from milk and high quality protein that contains all the essential amino acids needed for building muscle, growth, repair, and it just makes it easier to hit your protein intake instead of thinking that you got to have 150 grams protein worth of chicken, which can get expensive, pain in the ass to cook, whatever. So therefore, again, it's a certain do that I suggest to have on your list. Now, I understand that, again, some people can't digest it well, and there's other versions, and that's something for you to try. But for the most of us, it's a simple, practical nutritional tool, and I certainly suggest everyone to use it because it's easy, quick, and it works. Now, on the flip side, here's a don't. Don't rely on supplements outside of the basics. And the 2 basics are the ones that I just covered. Because most of the time, the only people truly benefiting are the supplement companies themselves, as I was talking about in the beginning. The marketing and supplement industry is incredibly strong. It's probably a multi-million, maybe $1 billion industry over the years. You're always seeing products claiming to be fat burning, anabolic, muscle building, help you with your performance, this and that. I mean, it's a flavor of the month. But when you actually look at the research, many of these supplements have super weak evidence, if at all, and it's not impacting the real world. It's just a misunderstanding of companies making the money and the FDA simply not checking them out. Even when some certain ingredients, have research behind them, they're often under close because companies simply don't want you to know what is actually going on. And another thing is that people don't always realize that the supplement industry is not heavily regulated, as I hinted at earlier, meaning labels don't always perfectly match what's inside the product. The truth is that supplements are often marketed as the missing piece, what you need to do, what will get you over the hump. But when in reality, most people still need to focus on the fundamentals, and that's solid weight training, solid nutrition, not doing too much cardio, focusing on the tier 1 supplements if you want them, like creatine and also whey protein. Although, and I was thinking about adding it, but ashwagandha is starting to climb that ladder as far as being a do. So that's something that you can try, and I don't have any real information prepared, but it's starting to nicely show that just by taking ashwagandha, it doesn't have a direct effect on building muscle tissue, but it has an indirect effect because if it lowers cortisol, which is starting to show in more research-backed papers, that can help performance in the gym, which in turn increases muscle tissue. Just something to think about, where I'm just putting that out there. That hasn't been scripted for this podcast. Now, another factor, another do that you always want to focus on, and it's a fundamental one, and actually has been reiterated more and more, and it's simple, it's sleep and recovery. Sleep, to me, is the greatest supplement that you can do for your body. It's actually, to me, it's one of the most underrated performance tools that now exist, because when sleep is off, everything does become harder. Quality of sleep improves, obviously, muscle recovery, supports growth hormone production, improves strength and performance, reduces inflammation, and helps maintain proper hormone balance. Now, why that is so important, especially for physique athletes or those who just want to lose body fat? Well, when you do exercise more and you're following a diet, caloric deficit at least, it puts more stress on your body. And if you're not getting good sleep, guess what, guys? It's putting even more stress on the body. It's harder to recover. It's harder to maintain muscle tissue. It's harder to perform. So instead of trying to look for all these fancy things with diets, training, supplements, or even using like TRT or, peptides or even those types of things, if your sleep is not aligned, guess what? Those other things are going to be so less effective. So that's why I always tell people you need to get your stress and your sleep in order or improved if you want anything else to work. So it's a vicious cycle. I get it, because some of us have trouble sleeping, because when sleep is poor, the hunger hormone ghrelin goes up and the fullness hormone leptin goes down. So that means you're going to feel hungry, you're going to crave higher caloric foods, and again, it becomes a hamster wheel. But if we can get control of, sleep and stress, those things, we can get off that hamster wheel. So conversely, when sleep is consistent and you're getting better quality sleep, the body's going to recover properly, you're going to handle stress more effectively, and that's when real progress happens. I mean, I go through waves of getting good sleep, and I feel it. I know when I'm sleeping well because I perform better and I'm not as hungry. And then if I'm not sleeping well, I can tell I'm not performing as well. Appetite changes, stress increases for me. I have more anxiety if I'm not sleeping well. And then you got to try to break the habit. And it's not like I have a light switch plan for you guys. It just takes effort, just like everything else. Scheduling your sleep, turning off your phone a couple of hours at least before you even think about going to sleep. Just trying to relax, whatever that is, reading, meditation, putting on the TV just to zone out, to calm the mind, whatever. Dark room, cool room, all those little things can be helpful. But that is something that you do want to prioritize because, again, it's going to help the process, and that's why it's a major do for me. So one last don't that I'm going to cover, and this has been a topic that I've been focusing on lately, and I'm going to cover it one more time, probably not the last time, is don't use social media as a comparison tool. Social media, again, guys, is everyone's highlight reel. You're seeing the best lighting, the best angles, the best pumps, and usually the best moments of someone's entire week or month or even year on those few pictures on Instagram or TikTok or whatever. What you don't see are the off days, the struggles, the setbacks, and maybe the years of work behind the scenes, giving them credit. So comparing your real life to someone else's highlight reel can really sabotage your mindset quickly. And that's why social media is the devil. Instead, focus on the only comparison that matters the most. It's you versus you. Ask yourself, are you improving? Are you staying consistent? Are you becoming a better version of yourself with each passing day over time? That is what truly counts. Now, I get it. The other argument is, well, social media motivates you. Hey, if it motivates you and you can handle it, fine. But don't, after a couple of weeks of weight training, say, why am I not looking like, Joe Blow over there or Jane Smith? That is the terrible thing because, again, we all have different fingerprints. And I've covered this in different variations over the last 5 or 6 years I've been doing podcasts. You need to focus on yourself. You need to not look at other people thinking, why am I behind? Why am I not looking like them? That is it. We have different structures, fingerprints, genetics, work ethics, drug use for some. So therefore, it's a moot topic. So never. That's a big don't in my book. So I'm going to finish this one up. And again, guys, if you focus on these core principles, my do's and don'ts as far as making your weight training count, doing the best that you can, not focusing on, making sure don't do too much cardio where it becomes an obsession or a correction. For supplements, don't rely on them, but I am a fan of creatine and whey protein. Focus on sleep, recovery, and stress. That's it in a nutshell. When you prioritize your weight training, gains are going to happen. When you keep your nutrition in check, you're going to learn what's best for you. Use cardio appropriately. Focus on sleep and recovery. Use smart supplementation, not excessive or getting suckered into the latest product that you see somewhere on social media or some bullshit influencer telling you that you have to use it. Because in the end, guys, the physiques that stand out are all built the same way. It's years of consistency, discipline, and doing the basics basically really well for a really long time. So again, hoping you guys enjoy this. If you have any interest in my coaching, philosophies, questions, concerns, hit me up. fitfranco@verizon.net and check me out on the socials. Until next time.